Hey everybody, it's Jillian. So I have a lot of you that are new on my Facebook. You like what I have to say, and you also have stuff you want to add to my thought process, like stuff that you've read from people of the past, whether they're living today or they have died hundreds and hundreds of years ago. You have to understand that every single person in the past was a stepping stone to today, okay? But the reason why they're in the past is because they have died. So they came from a biochemistry that was degrading, coming from a perspective of chaos within their body. So I'm not discounting that they have wisdom, because every single person from the past has given us a stepping stone to today. However, if we keep referring back to ancient wisdom, ancient this, old school that, traditional this, traditional that, you're going to have more of the past. So at some point, we have to kind of let go of those that have, once we have taken their information and substantiated what has caused people to live, now we have to say, okay, we can graduate from those people of the past and all their stuff. If you want to create a future, you have got to at some point let go of those in the past, at some point. And now we can take all the different information and reconfigure a future, okay? And so, so many of you have so many people that you follow. You have different lecturers, different gurus, different cultures that offer everybody different perspectives on the biochemistry, on healing, on history, on why it is that our economy is the way it is, why it is that we had this, why things happened historically, and whatever. Okay? Now, where I'm coming from is from a biological standpoint. And when the body comes from chaos, it thinks from a different perspective. It thinks from a very specific perspective. When the body's in chaos on a death trajectory, there's a very specific perspective. And then people will make up their stories on why it is their body is acting a certain way, or why it is that you're seeing their perspective through the eyes of somebody's chaos. So, I wouldn't take necessarily gospel what somebody has said in the past regarding what they think the future is, okay? Because when you think about it, if they really truly knew the future, they'd be still around being the future. But when somebody dies, they're not the future, they're the past. They need to stay in the past. We can still take their knowledge and apply it to substantiate certain things up to this point. But now if we want a future where we have a different outcome, not the same, because at this point we're seeing that we've been having flaws in the system, in the bodies, and man has then found different patches to create workarounds. Okay, that's no different than when you have an operating system, such as like Longhorn or Windows 10, and when they upload that system into a company, and then there are glitches due to some miscommunication in some area, and they don't know where it is. Well, before they go dig in and figure out what it is and take that system offline, they have to do a workaround to make sure that the day-to-day business keeps flowing, so that way they can have their widgets done, and then they go and figure out what that deal is. But what happens is that in our society as well as in our body, we keep creating workarounds. We keep putting patches on things that we should be looking at the root cause, but no one's looking for the root cause because they're looking at ancient wisdom. They're looking at people from the past. They're looking at old texts that really aren't viable really much anymore, okay? They got them through the hardships back in the past so that way they can keep living, but the person's dead. So really, when you think about it, it can explain why we keep living, why it is that we're able to survive cataclysms and war and all these different upheavals, but it really shouldn't speak to the future. Okay? So this new future that we're trying to create is based upon now a new wisdom of can we live indefinitely? And what does that mean? And then how do then we recharacterize what pain is? How do we then change the biochemistry so we're not always looking in the past? We're now looking into the future. But when you look into the future, you have to change your perspective. But you just can't change your perspective just like that. No, you have to change the biochemistry, which then controls your perspective. And that's very difficult for those that love to read ancient texts, those that love to read all this stuff. And ancient knowledge is great up to a certain point. And then you got to get beyond the ancient knowledge and then start putting something together then to create a new type of knowledge, a new perspective, a new outlook. And so I want to, those that like Jonas Williams, do the J juice. Right now, everyone has so much knowledge and they're reading so much stuff from the past and so much this, so much that, and thinking that the elite are trying to hide things from us, trying to do this. No, it's just that there's so much knowledge out there. People get confused. People start applying things that aren't appropriate, and then there's really crazy outcomes. And so I can see why some of our elite have kept some of the knowledge from us, because we don't know what to do with it, obviously, because look at our society. We're applying things that are inappropriate to the body and then causing more chaos. And so at this point, we kind of have a controlled chaos, so to speak, but we're seeing now that all of these patches and workarounds that we're applying to all of these issues is now weakening the core. Because just like an operating system, when you have too many workarounds, too many patches to glitches in the system, eventually the system will be so weak that it'll be open for a hostile takeover when you think about it. Okay? So we got to strengthen the core. Okay? And that means that we may have to kind of take our nose out of ancient stuff. Acknowledge, yes, that those people have gotten us to where we are today, but now at some point we have to put that ancient stuff to rest and we start developing a future. And that means that it starts with you changing your biochemistry. Once you start really changing your biochemistry, all that ancient stuff that you've been studying and thinking that it's so wonderful is going to be of the past, where it should stay in the past. Okay? All right, you guys have a good day. Bye.